Hello and welcome to this session of Tuesday Folk People. And what a wonderful session we have for you this evening. We've got Terry Hisco followed by Jeff Treadway. Two very different musicians, but with an equal amount of wealth in their experience of folk music. First off, we've got someone who you could call the genuine article, someone who's been there and done it. They've truly experienced the community that is folk music from 1966 to today. They've seen the birth of the folk clubs. They've been there with the greats. And I suppose you could say that he's sort of lived the rock and roll lifestyle of folk music, if that's a thing, with his part as in the band Hunter Musket, who I think are pretty well known and a lot of you are aware of them. I'd like to welcome singer-songwriter Terry Hisco.
Hi there.
Hi, Terry. Welcome.
Maddie, lovely to see you.
And you.
And it's me. You'll know me from Jeff, because Jeff is the one with all the hair and the facial hair. But I have neither.
You're diverse musicians. You're diverse in appearance.
That's true. That's true. What a lovely introduction that was. And not just what you were saying. I was thinking about the music that introduced the show. I hope everybody else was hearing that. It was just beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I think, speaking of music, we should probably hear a bit of yours and know what you're about, really. And so we're going to start with your song, Leave It With Mine. Could you tell us a little about it just before we go into it? Because it's an original, isn't it?
Yeah. Most of the stuff that I do is I can't really be trusted with other people's songs. This is one I wrote. I wrote it about 6-7 years ago for my daughter when she was in her teens. When she was 13, we bought her a television for her room, little black and white thing, I think it was, because this was some time ago. And then we didn't see her for 5 years. And then when she came out, she said, "Can I have a car?" She was 17 by that age. So those were the dark years, which I think some people might remember if you've got teenage daughters. But she came out of that, and she's now lovely, and she's got children of her own. And it's just great. But I only got round to writing the song about 6 years ago, even though this all happened 20 odd years. So it's just saying, hey, no matter what, we love you. It'll all work out right.
Well, let's have a listen then.
There's always a time when water tastes like wine, when the song in your heart, it all falls apart on the starting line. You're losing the day, afraid of what the people might say. So hold on to your lover, you won't find another who won't slip away. Hold on to your heart and don't give it away to the first one standing in line. So hold your heart, your poor old heart, and if you think you might lose it, you can leave it with mine. Same old lies, they take you by surprise, but you can't stop believing in that old sweet religion and its thin disguise. You try to pretend your heart is your only friend, but you're losing the thread of all that was said, and now you're lost again. So hold your heart, hold on to your heart, and don't give it away to the first one standing in line. So hold your heart, your poor old heart, and if you think you might lose it, standing in line. So hold your heart, your poor old heart, and if you think you might lose it, you can leave it with mine.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I
Just
really
make-
love that one.
I'm just making notes of all the wrong notes I played there. I'll get those sorted
Well, we
next time.
didn't notice. I think that's all part of being in folk, is making wrong notes.
Is
It's not
it?
supposed to be perfect, is it?
Well, that's true.
But
Just as
I
well.
was just going to say, as someone who was a teenage daughter not that long ago, I wish that my dad had sort of written a song like that for me. I think most daughters would.
Oh.
So very nice.
How nice of you. Thank you. Right.
Could you tell us a bit about sort of how you got into folk music? Because you weren't originally a folk musician, were you, back in the day?
No. I mean, my generation, I got into playing guitar through Lonnie Donegan, folk music, all of that. It became accessible. You could just pick up any old thing and thrash around. So that's how we all got started to play. And then from then I learnt the chords. I was in R&B groups at youth clubs and things like that. And so it went on until I went to college in London in '66. And I took my guitar along with me. And all I really knew was the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Kinks and Buddy Holly and all that kind of stuff. Except I had discovered Davy Graham from an album he did called Folk, Blues and Beyond. So I was just kind of getting slightly into the acoustic stuff. But at college, it hit you like a freight train. Everybody was carrying acoustic guitars. Everybody said, you must come along to this club or that club. And I was plunged into it. And within weeks, I think that was all. I was up to my neck in folk music, and it was all music. It was traditional. It was country. It was Irish music. It was singer-songwriter stuff. It was just wonderful.
Well, it was the second folk revival. It was around that time, wasn't it, in '66? So it was a big deal.
I think so. I missed the first. The whole Ewan McCall thing kind of happened before me. Carthy was there. One of the first people that I saw, really, because he was we thought as traditional as they come. Although I think I was saying to one of your colleagues earlier, I remember the first time I saw him, he came to our college and played the folk club there, did a storming set with Dave Swarbrick. And at the end, we all sat around in the common room with guitars, well, about 6 or 7 of us. And we rather thought that Martin Carthy would then lead us through the intricacies and the timings of Biker Hill. But all we did, and all he wanted to do, was play Jerry Lee Lewis all night. So we sat there playing rock and roll until the small hours. And that's when I realized that folk music, even in the hands of someone like Martin Carthy, you can take music anywhere you like, as long as it's good fun.
Well, we've got your next song, Where Are You Now, Sweet Marie? That's a Bob Dylan one, am I right in thinking that?
Well, it's my song, but I know where you're coming from. It's because it's because the song itself, it was written in 1966 when it was written last couple of years ago, about 1966. And that was when Dylan released Blonde on Blonde. You're not expecting to know all this, Maddie. This is so old, But Bob Dylan was a big deal, as he still is. And Blonde on Blonde was one of these seminal albums. And it just shook our world, as did Sgt. Pepper. Mm. And this song that I wrote was really all about that album, 1966, everything that was going on in the folk clubs, my life, people we met. It's a nostalgic song.
Well, shall we have a listen then?
long ago, when far away, waving banners in our marching days, Montgomery and Vietnam, civil rights down in Birmingham. Tell the truth, I just walked in line, just cause it just wasn't mine. But I didn't know what else to do, 'cause you were marching to a different tune. Where are you now, sweet Marie? Where are you now, babe? Where are you now, my love? Where are you now, sweet Marie? And some nights we set the needle down, watch the record spinning round and round, and absolutely sweet Marie always thought you might wait for me. Lying there in the midnight hour, with cigarettes and a dying fire, with your eyes like smoke and your prayers that rhyme. You were once a true friend of mine. But where are you now, sweet Marie? Where are you now, babe? Where are you now, my love? Where are you now, sweet Marie? You said to be outside the law, you must be honest or you must be poor. You said that I was insincere, no beliefs, just a thin veneer. But I waited for you when you hated me, although I know we both disagreed. Tried to tell you, but you wouldn't hear. I was insecure, not insincere. But where are you now, sweet Marie? Where are you now, babe? Where are you now, my love? Where are you now, sweet Marie? Long ago and far away, when revolution was all the rage, change the world and fight the fight, take up arms and do what's right. Sometimes it's just the way it goes, and sooner or later you were bound to know. I couldn't stay, couldn't pledge my time. You went your way and I went mine.
I'm sure loads of people are applauding, but just me for now.
Well, if they listen, they'll pick up all the little Dylan references to that album that's in there. Sorry.
That's all right. Honestly, not at all. You've had a lot of good comments on Facebook and YouTube. I haven't got time to read them all. We've got Steve Evans here saying, Terry is a supreme wordsmith and singer. Debbie Schofield says, we love Sweet Marie. So good to see you, Terry. Warwick Jones has said, crisp and deep and even, lovely Terry. And they just keep going on. We obviously don't have time to go through them all now, but
very nice.
I echo their thoughts. I think now we should maybe talk a bit about Hunter Musket. And it was around that time, wasn't it, that you formed?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I was at this college in southeast London. There was a folk club there, big folk club actually. Got a lot of 150 or so people in every week, so we could get all kinds of people. And then it fell upon myself and a friend to run it when the person previously left. And we needed a house band, so we formed a little duo and was promptly joined by a guy called Doug Morter, who'll be known to a number of people because he went on to work with Magna Carta, Richard Digance and the Albion Band, and all part of that Fairport ceilidh setup. Doug joined us on guitar, and as a house band, we formed a little group that did our own songs. We decided we would write our own stuff, and from that we went off and went around the clubs doing floor spots and things and getting bookings, and then eventually jacked in the day job and went full time. We did an album with Decca where Danny Thompson played bass, and that added an extra dimension. So obviously he was off with Pentangle, so we had to look for a bass player, and there was another guy we knew, Rog Trevitt, who joined us. So he was the newcomer. He joined us in 1970, and there we are, and we're still going. You wouldn't recognize us from the old albums that we did, because we had hair in those days and velvet suits and flares. It was wonderful.
Wait, have you got the record? You showed it to Tom and I before, the record of all of you together.
Yes, I haven't got it here. I'd have to go and get it. It's in the other room.
No
it's
but
yes.
You were quite successful, weren't you, from 1969 to 74?
In our own way, we did. I mean, we worked non-stop in the clubs, mostly in this country and Europe, and we did a lot of tours, festivals. There was Cambridge Folk Festival. That was the big one, but not like today when there are quite so many things going on. But the clubs are the mainstay, and they were just fabulous places to go to, and we kind of followed each other around. So, and you'd meet people on the way. And it's still like it actually, because we still go. We reformed again about 8-9 years ago. Same band, different songs, but the same kind of thing. And you still meet lots of the old people still on the rounds. It's just
I
great.
remember you said a little thing that was quite sweet when you did your reunion. Someone left a picture, was it?
Yes. Oh, yes. We did 73, 74. We did a tour with Ralph McTell, and we kicked off at the Festival Hall, which was a big deal for us. I mean, we were only supporting, and the place was heaving to see Ralph. But we went out and did our 45-minute spot, and it was okay. And then we were playing the Skegness Great British Folk Festival about 6-7 years ago, and we just did our main set on the stage there. And about halfway through, somebody came up through the audience and just put something on the stage by the mic. We couldn't say anything. We were busy singing, but we just looked down, couldn't see what it was, an envelope. And at the end of the performance, as we were clearing off, we picked this up and took it back to the stage and opened it up. And it was a lovely old black and white photo of us that was taken at the Festival Hall, the only one that we knew of. And I don't know who that person was. They never signed it. They just said Festival Hall 73, Wasn't that a nice thing?
Yeah,
It's
and
nice.
it shows the impact that you had. If it's in all that time, they've kept this photo and they've obviously seen that you've come back.
Well, I tell you, we still get people come up to the gigs quite often with the copies of we only did 2 albums back in the day, but they come along with those and saying, look, I had this in my record collection, especially when I was in a bedsit in Earl's Court and played it all. So can you sign it for me? Which was nice. Apart from one guy we did a live album at the Marquee. It's not one of which we're particularly proud, I have to say. Something wrong with the sound. And he brought it along and said, I bought this in good faith in 1974 or something. Can I have my money back? And he handed us the CD. So we bought him a drink and signed it for him, and he went away happy. But there we are. You can't win them all. You can't win them all.
Well, you've won plenty, I think. And I think it's time for the next song. It's called Nowhere Else to Go.
Yes,
And that's another one of yours, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, I find this one difficult to introduce when I do it on stage. I think I shouldn't say this, but I think it's probably the best little song that I've written in a long time. Let me just say that. And I don't write as many songs as I feel I should. It just all came together right. Someone rang me up and just said, I'm not well. It was one of those conversations. And the older you get, the more conversations like that you have, believe me. And it just knocks you sideways a little bit. And so this song kind of came out of that. And it didn't come quickly because my songs never do. I take ages to write. But if I said this one took about a month, then that, believe me, is a quick writing song for me. So it's poignant, but it's not meant to be too sad.
Okay, well, here it is.
Looking out at the stars tonight, across the western sky, the whole thing's moving at the speed of light. I don't know where or why. Maybe it's just a great escape, heaven only knows. But they'll all be back tomorrow night, and for now have nowhere else to go. He never said he was done with this. He said, I'm gonna see it through. Doesn't matter if they shake their heads, the doctors don't have a clue. You and I, we should head out east, maybe go to Mexico. But when he closed his eyes, I realized that for now he had nowhere else to go. I took a walk along the waterfront, looking out to sea, thinking about what a friend had said, something that he said to me. And I watched the waves come rolling in and falling on the rocks below. From far across the sea they came, but for now they have nowhere else to go. Might go down to Mexico, maybe head for Spain, spend some time in the Western Isles, or head on south again. But looking out at the sea and the stars, there's a woman I used to know. She's waited for me all these years, 'cause she knew nowhere else to go.
Thank
really
you.
beautiful.
A dear song.
Yeah, you can feel the feeling in it. It makes you very sentimental, I have to
Wow.
say.
I recorded it with Hunter Musket, and if anyone ever gets to hear it, Doug Mortar. It was played it just like that. Really, there was just me on that one. Doug does a just beautiful acoustic guitar solo in the middle of it. I remember said, "You know what this needs? This needs a little solo." And he just picked the guitar up, one take, boom, there it was, just lovely.
Yeah, it is. Well, you've mentioned previously that you and Hunter Musket still tour now, but you've recently released a solo album, haven't you?
Yes. My first, probably the last. It was it was something I just wanted to do. It was the band couldn't get together really because one of them lives in Denmark, and then we got hit with all this stuff going on, and I had a bunch of songs that I just wanted to get off my chest. So I went into the same studios that we use up in Manchester with the band because I know the producer and the engineer. And I did it myself. Tom Leary on fiddle from Feast of Fiddles, and helped me out with some lovely work. And I roped in the vocals of a local girl singer near to where I live, who's lovely, singing a lovely song that I couldn't sing myself. And and it just came together. It was good to do. It's a good discipline to do something like that because I'm used to having the other guys around saying, "Oh, we don't need this," or "We need to do that." And but sometimes an album by committee doesn't always allow the freedom that you want. So I enjoyed the freedom, but it was a bit scary at times making those decisions. Do we need this or not? Yeah, I'm pleased with it. It's good.
What's the album called?
It's called Falling More Slowly, which is the title of one of the songs. It's a reference. The song is about the shipping forecast and a sailor going out in all weathers. So I thought "Falling More Slowly" from the shipping forecast was good. I was going to call it moderate to good, and I thought I could just see a reviewer writing, "No, moderate to poor," more like you mustn't hand them these lines. Anyway, "Falling More Slowly." It fitted well.
Well, I implore everyone to have a look at it and have a listen and check it out. And that's we're running out of time, unfortunately. I could talk.
I've got so much to say.
I know, so much to ask.
And it's fine. We want to hear what Jeff has got to say.
Well, I think that we should finish with your last song, "Ain't Nobody's Business." Is this another original?
No, this is not. This is because I tend to write these rather melancholy, poignant songs that people have been good enough to listen to. I know that in the course of an evening, people begin to heads nod over. So I just need to put into the mix songs like this. This is an old blues song. Jimmy Witherspoon had a hit with it in the 40s. This owes a lot to Taj Mahal's version, which I heard on an album somewhere. So it's just an old blues, and it's something people can tap their feet to and have a bit of fun before they settle back to my next three poignant, melancholy songs.
Let's
there you
have
go.
a listen.
Well, now champagne don't drive me crazy, cocaine don't make me lazy, but it ain't nobody's business what I do. Well, now candy's dandy, but liquor is quicker. You can drink all the liquor down in Costa Rica, but it ain't nobody's business what I do. I might go to church on Sunday, even go to work on Monday. Ain't nobody's business what I do. Well, you can do what you want, and you can do it when you want to. It don't matter to me what you do, 'cause it ain't nobody's business what I do. Well, now some of these gals, real fine gals, that go stepping downtown just to hang around, so the fellas can say, "Ooh, and ain't she sweet?" And champagne don't drive me crazy, cocaine don't make me lazy, but it ain't nobody's business what I do. Well, now some of these gals, real fine gals, they go stepping downtown just to hang around, so the fellas can say, ooh, and ain't she sweet, and got a gal you love on Sunday. May I well get another on Monday, nobody's business what I do. Well, now sticks and stones gonna break my bones, you know you're gonna talk about me when I'm gone, but it ain't nobody's business what I do. Champagne don't drive me crazy, cocaine don't make me lazy, ain't nobody's business what I do. Well, now candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. You can drink all the liquor down in Costa Rica, but it ain't nobody's business. Ain't nobody's business. Ain't nobody's business what I do. Ain't nobody's business.
Brilliant.
A good old
Thank
song.
you very much, Terry.
Thank you, Maddie. It's been lovely chatting.
It's been brilliant. And obviously I can see really clearly how you're up there rubbing shoulders with Steeleye Span and Following Gay and all them. You belong there.
You're very sweet. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And I suppose now it's about time to move on to our next act. From 1966 back to the 18th century, we are going to explore a genre called old time music, which is going to be told to us by a musician who can play probably just about every string instrument under the sun, more than I could dream of playing. I'd like to welcome Jeff Treadway.
Hi.
Hello, Jeff.
Well, I dabble. That's my trouble. I dabble in all. Also, I haven't got a double bass there, but I haven't played that for years actually. But someone lent it to me, and it's still there. And
well, we're in for a treat. We're going to see plenty of different string instruments tonight, and I love it. So we're going to be exploring a bit with you old time music, which is from the Appalachian Mountains. Isn't that right? I think we've got a picture here just so that we can see. So
yeah, sort of in the east, going east and southeast of the United States.
And this is where the old time genre is from.
Yes, mainly Appalachian music. Yeah.
Well, we've got a little song that you've sent to us called "Darling Corey," and this counts as an old time genre song.
That's. I mean, I don't know the age of that song, but that's a pretty traditional Appalachian folk song. Lots of different versions of it, and someone, well, it was Tom last week, reminded me that. In fact, I didn't know actually that Lonnie Donegan had recorded it at some time. I might not have done it if I used to like Lonnie Donegan, but I'm sure I do it a lot different. And there are lots of different versions, different verses, and different tunes. So you can tell it's a folk song when there are, when you hear it done so many different ways. It's a bad man, bad woman song, really. It's bad people. One of the sort of songs about bad people, bad characters.
Well, it goes by the name Darling Cora and Little Lily. So now let's do Darling Corey.
Wake up, darling Corey. What makes you sleep so sound? The revenue officers are coming, gonna tear your still house down. For the first time I saw darling Corey, she was sitting on the banks of the sea, with with a 44 strapped around her and a banjo on her knee. Go away, darling Corrie, quit hanging around my bed. Your liquor has ruined my body, pretty women gone to my head. Wake up, darling Corrie, and go get me my gun. I ain't a man for trouble, but trouble has just begun. Go away, darling Corrie, and do the best you can. I'll get me another woman, you can get you another man. Oh yes, my darling, I'll do the best I can, but I'll never give my favors to another gambling man. Dig a hole in the middle, dig a hole in the cold, cold ground. Dig a hole in the middle, gonna lay darling Corrie down.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jeff.
I-
Sorry,
Yeah,
what were you...
No,
Okay.
I did notice one or two mistakes in that actually.
Well,
I didn't.
we can't notice at all. But just for everyone sort of watching from home who doesn't know what old time music is, could you sort of summarize what the genre is?
Old time music is the music, folk music of the Appalachian Mountains, which is which comprises folk songs, traditional folk songs from England that settlers took over with them, and they sort of kept them in their family to remind them of the old country, I suppose. You know, Irish and Scottish and English fiddle tunes. I mean, a lot of old time. There's a lot of fiddle music and banjo music. And then, and I think what makes it more intriguing, a lot of, especially the fiddle tunes and the banjo tunes, is the influence of the African American musicians as well. So that makes old time music unique, as far as I'm concerned. You know, there's influences from England, from Scotland, from Africa. You know.
Yeah, because the Appalachians are quite a rich area, aren't they, for folk songs? Like they're seen as preserved in time, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, because Cecil Sharp famously went out at the beginning of last century to collect English folk songs from the Appalachians that probably disappeared in this country, that people were still singing out there. You know, so it's quite interesting the way they're preserved. Songs were preserved. You know.
Did it also involve dance as well, Jeff? With a dance?
Well, there's clog dancing. There's the
Yeah.
famous flatfoot dancing, and
That's it.
I mean, there was clog dancing, and in Norfolk was. I mean, there's a few people still doing clog dancing in Norfolk, and Fiona Davis carries on the tradition of step dancing. It's called step dancing that her father did. Her father was a lifeboat man in Cromer and was a step dancer, and Fiona has carried on that tradition, you know. And the Appalachian clod dancing is very, very similar. I mean, I couldn't tell the difference.
Yes, could you tell us a bit about sort of the composition of the string bands in the old time genre?
Well, that's another thing. You see, one reason I like old time, rather than English Irish music, is I like 5-string banjos, and I just think the combination of fiddle and 5-string banjos, banjo playing together, those two instruments, with guitar or not, you know, just makes a great sound and a great combination, because the banjo is quite rhythmic as well as melodic, but I suppose the fiddle is also very rhythmic as well, but just the two contrast and go together quite well, and just so foot tapping, I think.
Well, I think we should probably move on to our next song.
Okay.
We've got Who's That Knocking at My Window? Could you tell us a little about the song before we hear it?
It's a Carter family song, the famous Carter family. I think it's probably a song that A.P. Carter used to go around collecting songs, and I think this is a song that he cobbled together from bits of other songs. That was quite a common thing for people to do in order to record songs, in fact. And there's a bit of or echoes of an English song called I think called The Drowsy Sleeper, and also there's the Silver Dagger, very famous song. Go away, don't wake my father. He's got a silver dagger to stab the one I love best. It's not a dagger in this case, but there's that verse from Silver Dagger. So there's got elements of English folk ballads in this song, and yeah.
This is an old time song as well. Does this count as old time?
Oh yeah, Carter family, definitely old time. Yeah.
Okay.
Old time country music.
Okay, fantastic. Let's have a listen.
Who's that knocking at my window? Knocks so loud, but won't come in. It's your own true-hearted lover. Go rise you up and let me in. Go away, don't wake my mother, for love's a thing she can't endure. She'd be the ruin of many a lover. She's been the ruin of many more. I've come to whisper in your ear, love. Do you think it any harm? I've come to win you hope your mother, so put your trust in your lover's arms. Go away, don't wake my father, for he's on his bed of rest, and on his breast he carries a weapon to kill the one that I love best. I wish I was some little sparrow. I'd circle like a turtle dove. I'd fly away to a lonely valley. I'd fly away to the one I love.
Fantastic. I feel like I should just show this we have actually got a picture of Jeff playing 100 years ago. If you can see
Yeah.
that. Fitting image.
I mean, I was quite elderly then.
You're preserved just like the folk music. You're preserved in time.
It looks like a still from Deliverance, that film.
It does. I do have a hat like that.
I think you mentioned previously how old time was brought over by the Scotch-Irish sort of white settlers, but you've
Yes,
said
yes.
that there's quite a large African American influence.
Well, the banjo, of course, is an African American instrument, and the forerunners of the banjo are instruments from East Africa, Senegal, for instance. There's one particular instrument that I mean they were made from a gourd with a skin stretched across it, and I'll just get me banjo and. Instead of a hoop like this, they were a gourd with a skin across it and more of a pole rather than a neck, you know. But one thing they did have in common, the forerunners of the banjo with the actual banjo, was this little short string here that starts here that you play with your thumb, and it was played like that with a downstroke. And that was how the forerunners of the banjo were played in Africa. And my style of banjo playing. And the one that was taken up by black and white Appalachian musicians is a very similar style.
Well, we've got a picture of some. I think they're called the Carolina chocolate drops.
Oh yeah.
And they've sort of recognised, or they're bringing to light, aren't they, the African American influence in old time music?
Well, the African American fiddlers and banjo players were kind of they were. When record companies recorded the music from they wanted the black players to do blues and sell that as to African Americans as race music, and they wanted the white bands. The old time music, they called it hillbilly music, and they didn't want to see black musicians. There, you know, so there were black fiddlers in white bands, but there's one example where their manager, who was white, stood in for their publicity photo holding the poor guy's fiddle, you know. So he included a black musician. And African Americans now are reclaiming the banjo and fiddle.
Wow. Well, we've actually got a picture of a banjo player, a historic picture. A female one as well, so that's quite
lovely old
amazing.
Victorian picture with a fretless banjo, a kind of minstrel banjo it would have been.
Could you actually I think we should probably go on to our next song, and then we can talk a bit more about everything after. So this is Tucker's Barn.
Fiddle.
We've had some lovely comments from people. We've had Alan Young says, lovely guitar and words. Thank you. We've
Nice.
had Jeff has said, superb stuff, Jeff. Oh, two Jeffs. Proper folk by Proper Folk. I want to come and live in that room. And on Facebook, we've had interesting bit of history. Well done, Jeff. Excellent. And it goes on. Obviously, don't have time, but it's all brilliant.
That's nice.
I just want to. Can I just say quickly? Yeah. I just love the names, Jeff, too, of some of those bands. The Uncle Dave Macon and the Fruit Jar Drinkers and and the L Hopkins. What was the one I've written down? And the Buckle Busters and Dr. Humphrey Tate and the Possum Hunters and the Skillet Lickers. They just had some great evocative.
They were great. And fiddlers always had strange names as well. There's one fiddler who was called Manco Sneed. I think that's a great name there. And there's Benton Flippin. That's another name for a well-known fiddler from the past.
It's just great, yeah. It's just evocative of the music that they played. It seems to be. Once their name appeared on a billboard, you just have to go and see them. It sold itself.
I think the Skillet Lickers would have.
That would have done.
Well, Jeff, you've previously mentioned how old time music's sort of your first love.
Yes.
But you were in the Clay County Travellers, and that was bluegrass music, wasn't it? What is sort of the link between bluegrass and old time? Is there a link?
Well, absolutely. Very similar instrumentation. You know, it's acoustic music. It's got fiddle, banjo, mandolin, which is more common in bluegrass now than it was less common in old time. Guitar, of course, and Bill Monroe. I mean, bluegrass started with Bill Monroe. He started a band in the 1940s. It was kind of more souped up, kind of faster pace music. He has had this very a chopping kind of rhythmic style of playing on the mandolin that emphasized the offbeat like that, and then he had the double bass and the guitar emphasizing the on-beat. So it was very rhythmic, very up-tempo music. I mean, and they would the solo instrumentalist would take solos, you know, and an element from jazz where they would solo on an instrument, take instrumental breaks, that sort of thing, you know. And he added his music's more bluesy the whole time, as well.
And where did the name bluegrass come from then, Jim?
Well, because apparently Kentucky, where Bill Monroe came from, was called the Bluegrass State. There must have been the grass looked blue-ish, bluey green.
That's good enough.
It was called Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys, and the term bluegrass music wasn't coined, I think, until the 1950s. It became when more bands were starting to play that kind of music. And of course, the thing is, Scruggs joined Bill Monroe with his style of banjo playing, you know, very syncopated style of picking the banjo, and that really, really caught on, you know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main differences, I think, in the banjo playing with bluegrass and old time. And old time more folky than bluegrass.
You've when you would talk to Tom and I before, you mentioned that you started off sort of with old time in the folk clubs, and then you went into bluegrass with the Clay County Travellers, and you were quite successful, weren't you, with them? You sort of toured and were on the radio, I think.
Yeah, we did a couple of Radio 2 shows. We did one live show, and there was the Humble Bums, which was Billy Connolly and
Jerry Rafferty.
So yeah, they were on that with us.
I remember them. I remember.
Yeah. And we also did we did the Terry Wogan show. We went into a studio and laid down some tracks, you know, for which were played on the Terry Wogan show. We did some festivals, and we played clubs, and we went all over the place. We still had jobs, you know, but we never. There was a lot of bluegrass around in folk clubs, and all, you know, in those days. Yeah.
Well, what was it then? Obviously, you had a lot of bluegrass sort of in your musical life, but what is it about old time that makes that slightly more appealing to you? What makes that your favourite?
I think I love the fiddle tunes. It's obviously bluegrass you can't really do on your own for a start. You know, you got to be in a band. I think, you know, ideally 3 or 4 people really. I think ideally a whole set of, you know, with a double bass and everything. So yeah, you got to do be in a band with harmonies and all harmony singing, all sorts of things like that. And I love playing with other people and jamming and things like that. And sessions, I like to go to sessions and play tunes, and, you know, as well. But yeah, where were we? Bluegrass. Yeah, we went mad on bluegrass, you know. And then I went off it completely. I started going to a different folk club, and bluegrass seemed to be fading out, you know. Well, the band broke up. We were all getting married and everything, and the band broke up, and I went right off bluegrass and old time. I thought, I'm not American, I'm English, you know. And
So are you in a band now, Jeff?
No. We had a little trio 2 or 3 years ago. Well, about 3 years ago, and then our guitar player left and moved away, and didn't work so well with only 2, you know. So yeah. But
I suppose during COVID, old time's slightly more friendly. You don't need the band; you can just play alone. So I suppose it's the better choice for now.
I've been doing an old time a jam session on Zoom, which is I've learned so many tunes. I've come across exposed to so many tunes that I didn't know about the last year. That's kept me going. That has playing, yeah. Well,
it's fantastic because with this COVID thing, I'm learning on Zoom about this old times music style that I didn't know. You're learning more tunes. It's just really opening up all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and you can go anywhere. You know, I do one folk club in Leeds where there's a few fiddlers and banjo players, you know, and it's great. So I like to do that one on Zoom. I'm never going to go there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jeff. We're going to go to your final song now because we're running out of time. And this is Deep Ellum Blues. Could you tell us a little about it before we hear it?
Oh, this is, well, it's not really particularly banjo tune, but I like playing it on the banjo because you can do blues on the banjo. And Deep Ellum is Elm Street in Dallas. It was the famous red light area of Dallas. I think it needs saying, really gives a context to the song, you know. And it's been done in lots of different ways, and the Grateful Dead have recorded it, and various other people. And yeah, so
let's have a listen.
If you go down to Deep Ellum, put your money in your shoes. Them Deep Ellum women, they give a man the blues. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Well, oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Well, once I knew a preacher preached the Bible through and through. He went down to Deep Ellum, now he's preaching things all through. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Well, oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. She meant the world to me. She went down to Deep Ellum, now she ain't what she used to be. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Well, oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Her daddy was a policeman, her mama walked the streets. Her daddy met her mama when they both were on the beat. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Well, oh, sweet mama, daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. to Deep Ellum just to have a little fun. Better have your $15 when the policeman comes. Oh, sweet mama, Daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Well, oh, sweet mama, Daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues. Well, oh, sweet mama, Daddy's got those Deep Ellum blues.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for transporting us to the Appalachian Mountains and back in time. It's been really wonderful. We've been absolutely spoilt this last hour with our two acts, both so experienced in different areas of folk music. It's been really fascinating. And thank you for everyone who's watched and everyone who's commented. It's brilliant. Thank you. Have a lovely night.